It's 1:30 in Jonesboro, where some people are talking about net neutrality and worrying what's next for us here in our community. Well, we've got a few answers in that regard. We talked to someone from Ritter Communications, and we've also done a little bit of research on where Suddenlink stands on the issue. The details coming up. There's a possibility for a white Christmas. It's a slim chance, but it could occur. We've got a forecast that's full of all sorts of craziness, rain all week, summertime temperatures, and then we're going down to freezing before the weekend's over. It's Arkansas. We know that. Christmas in Northeast Arkansas. A little bit of a preview coming up of a very cool feature we are doing on the website. Plus, we're talking about a grab bag giveaway that we're doing tomorrow and a special interview with Congressman Rick Crawford. We've talked about it for a while, and it's coming up in just a few seconds right here on NEA Report. So let's do it.
Reporting.
It's called net neutrality, and for those of us who've followed the issue for the past several weeks, it's been hot button in the news. For those who've not followed it so much, the last several weeks have probably been more than you've ever heard about it before. But those of us here in Northeast Arkansas that have been keeping up with it, the next question we've had following last week's decision by the FCC to repeal Obama-era net neutrality rules, the next question is, how will it affect us here at home in Northeast Arkansas? So we tried to find the answers to that, and Ritter Communications actually issued a statement offering a little more information about that. Ritter issued the statement over the, last week, and we posted it over the weekend. Ritter pledged no changes in the face of the FCC's net neutrality rollback. So the big question a lot of folks had for us, since especially in Jonesboro, Ritter doesn't provide residential service, many instantly wanted to know, well, what about Suddenlink? What are they doing? That was a little bit more challenging to find an answer. Altus USA is the owner of the Suddenlink company. They own a couple of media outlets, and they commented to The Verge, which is an online news outlet, that they're committed to ongoing transparency in the face of these changes. That's darn near a quote. It doesn't talk about committing themselves to not making changes. They are committed to telling you if they make changes. Their statement leaves open the possibility, at least as far as Suddenlink or Altus goes, their companies, that they may decide to make policy changes in the face of that. Suddenlink made many people aggravated over the past several years as they implemented data caps in Jonesboro and Northeast Arkansas, and then also introduced opportunities for people to pay to not have those data caps. Their statement does not specifically lock them in, at least as far as a policy decision goes, to any decisions or any kind of effort on the customer's behalf. Ritter's seems to. We'll keep following this and hopefully be able to bring you more about net neutrality. By the way, in our interview coming up with Congressman Crawford, we're going to be talking to him, asking him specifically about his position on this issue. There was a tragic report that came through over the weekend out of the Black Rock community where a coroner was called to the scene of an accident involving a tractor. A family member reportedly found their relative under the tractor. It happened Sunday morning. By about 11 o'clock, emergency crews were out of the scene and cleared out, but apparent death there happening in Lawrence County. Is it possible that we're going to see a white Christmas? It's a chance of it happening in the forecast, but it's not a big chance. Let's take a look at your New Wave Wireless forecast. Home of the $49 iPhone screen repair, starting out with mostly cloudy skies tonight, and the low dropping down to 46 degrees. As the march to Christmas continues tomorrow, we're going to look for 40% chance for showers and cloudy skies otherwise. The high near 61 tomorrow. Then tomorrow night, showers on the way again. You're definitely going to see them, 90% shot at them tomorrow night, and up to 3/4 of an inch of rainfall could fall down. Light winds, and they're going to be out of the northeast, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Could be a little gusty out there too. Low around 48 degrees. For your Wednesday, a 40% chance of showers before noon, then cloudy and becoming mostly sunny as we move throughout the day. Going to give us a little bit of respite from the rainfall. The high near 55, the low Wednesday night 41 with partly cloudy skies. And then on Thursday, another mostly sunny day with a high near 63. Now, Thursday night is when we're going to see more showers start to roll in. 50-50 shot at them. The low is only 52 degrees. That's not a typo. The low is going to be 52, so it's going to be a little bit warmer then. And then into Friday, those warm temperatures, they may include a few thunderstorms with these showers. Showers likely Friday, thunderstorms even possible afternoon, cloudy with a high near 61, and then more showers before midnight Friday night. Let's jump ahead now of the 5-day forecast because there's a few days we have to talk about, right? For Saturday, mostly sunny. It's cooling off significantly. The high only 45, the low right below freezing. Sunday, a chance for some showers with the high right around 43 degrees. But certain forecast models are showing the possibility for snowfall on Sunday. Specifically, if you used your iPhone today to check the forecast, you would have seen a little snowflake for Sunday. At least you would have this morning. But the National Weather Service forecast as of right now isn't really giving us a great shot at that. So we started checking around and seeing what the possibilities are. And there is a couple of opportunities, a few people saying in the weather world that we may see a few snow showers or a few snowfall possibilities late Sunday and maybe early into Monday. It's worth noting that the temperatures Monday are going to be the coldest they've been in a while. The high expected to be 36. That's the last low that we're looking at in our 5-day right there. The low could be in the teens on your Monday. So if we do see any snowfall pop up, there's a good chance that it's going to be cold enough to make it stay. But the question is if we're going to see any snowfall or not. And according to the Weather Service, it's not a big chance as of right now, but we're definitely open to the possibility it could be a white Christmas. Christmas time is here, and if you've not already been driving around looking at the lights, what the heck is wrong with you? But for those of you who are in the know, and you're very well aware that it's Christmas time, you know the city of Jonesboro will have a few special plans for your sanitation schedule, and we want you to be aware of those. Let's take a look at it, and maybe the brightest graphic I've ever put up on the screen in history before. For your Monday, next Monday, obviously we know what day that is. It's not going to be a day you're getting your garbage picked up. But for next Tuesday, you'll get Monday and Tuesday collections done. Then the rest of the week is normal. Going to also let you know that 1 week from Monday is another holiday. Oh, yes. I get off 2 Mondays in a row? Are you kidding me? That is the best news ever. I just realized that. Sorry, back to news. Trash will not be picked up on the 1st. And they're also going to do Monday and Tuesday collection on January 2nd of 2018. It doesn't feel like it's already here, but it is. So there you go. I can't help it. I'm just so excited about the fact that it's 2 holidays on 2 Mondays in a row. Isn't that the best news? Okay. So we're going to have a special coming up on NEAReport.com here in just a little while tonight. We know a lot of folks are interested in Christmas, and we know that everybody wants to see the lights, but not everybody's got the time, the ability to get out and look at all of the lights. Believe you me, the lights are as beautiful this year as they have ever been in Northeast Arkansas. In Jonesboro specifically, it's just like some of the neighborhoods, you know, that they're doing the Clark Griswold thing when they turn it on and the power plant just shuts down somewhere. It's like the lights are everywhere. We've gotten a bunch of photos, probably 50 or 60 at least, of different gorgeous houses across Craighead County. We went out and took them over the last few weekends, and we're going to be bringing those to you tonight. It's NEAReport.com is where you're going to get to see those, and so if you will just have a little patience, then you'll get to enjoy it, okay? Some other stuff to talk about. We've mentioned this last week, our grab bag giveaway. That's going to be happening tomorrow. We're going to announce a winner tomorrow, and then we're going to have the grab bag available for somebody to pick up from our friends at Ace One Technologies at their office. If you're interested in getting entered to win the grab bag, here's all you have to do. I noticed a bunch of people are commenting during our live stream right now. Hey to Kim Brodell. Hello to Sherry Ray. Darren Ray, by the way. Coolest comment of the week goes to you, although it's Monday, so it's still early. For everybody that's commented already during our live stream, you have an entry to win. You can enter once today, and then at the show tomorrow, you can get entered in and comment during the live stream then as well. For everybody that commented at least once during our live streams while they were live, you can earn an entry for every day you did that from last week till tomorrow. And then after the show tomorrow, really right at the end of the show, we're going to announce a winner. And so the winner will get to pick up this bag bag full of stuff. There's masks, there's Batman toys, Ninja Turtles, there's a digital copy of a Batman movie, there's other neat gifts and knickknacks and all kinds of stuff. So stocking stuffers will be taken care of at your house. All right. There's also, by the way, something from Full Sun Gifts in there. We got to go broadcast live from there this morning. That was a load of fun. They donated a block builder's kit for folks to get to enjoy. Some neat stuff there for the little kids that will hopefully be having lots of fun with that. That's coming up tomorrow right here on NEA Report. After the break, it's what you've been waiting on. Congressman Rick Crawford is joining us. He'll be on the phone, and we're going to ask him all kinds of questions. We're going to ask about net neutrality. We're going to ask him about town halls. We're also going to ask him about this tax bill he's going to vote on. Who's it going to help? Who's it going to hurt? If anybody. We want to know the questions, the answers to the questions. We might want to know the questions too, depending on if you want to post them. Go right ahead, and we appreciate that. So that's after the break. First up, though, let's take a trip abroad to hear from the troops that are serving our country. They give us all these great freedoms we get to enjoy this time of the year, but they have to sacrifice to do it. We're hearing from our troops thanks to Car Today across Northeast Arkansas.
Hi, my name's Dan White. I'm from Stuttgart, Arkansas. I just want to give a holiday shout out to my wife, Vanessa, my daughter, Michaela, and my son, Aiden. I also want to say Merry Christmas to my school where I teach in DeWitt, Arkansas.
This is Command Sergeant Major Scotty Ingram from El Dorado, Arkansas, stationed in Camp Beer, Kuwait for Operation Spartan Shield. I would just want to wish a happy holidays to my mother-in-law, brother-in-law, aunts and uncles in El Dorado, Arkansas.
Family Medical Clinic of Walnut Ridge and Bono are your neighborhood healthcare providers, and we're now accepting new patients. We know you have a tight schedule, so we're here 6 days a week at both locations from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Walk-ins are welcome. In Walnut Ridge, stop by 1045 West Main Street or call us to make an appointment, 886-8300. In Bono, we're on Highway 63 North or call 930-9990. Walnut Ridge Family Medical Clinic and Bono Family Medical Clinic, here for you when you need us.
We had a website that we had had for a number of years. It had become unwieldy to navigate. Ace One said, give me a little time and I'll come up with something and just see what you think about it. It blew us away. Ace One and his staff have given such close personal attention and outstanding customer service, just as if we were $1 million company. I just can't say enough good things about them.
On the phone with Congressman Rick Crawford, who I'm assuming is in Washington, D.C. right now. Am I right, sir?
I'm on the way, actually. This is a travel day, so...
Yeah, it's well, I know that they got y'all informed that there was going to be a big vote. This morning, the Dow Jones, the stock markets were all up. They were excited, I think, about the possibility of a tax reform vote. Everyone seems to think it's going to happen. How do you feel? Do you think it's going to go?
Oh, yeah, I think what we're going to see is tonight, our usual evening vote series that'll take place, and they'll use that opportunity for a whip count, get an idea what the vote count is on this. Tomorrow early, they'll go to the rules and then bring it to the floor possibly as early as tomorrow evening, but I think probably more realistically it'd be Wednesday. But I do think that the president will have the opportunity to sign this by the end of the week.
Fantastic. I think some of the reports indicated, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this because there's a lot of information out there, but it was looking at corporate tax rates going from, I think, 35%, a major drop down all the way to maybe 21% in that realm.
Right.
What's that going to do for businesses? Can you kind of you've got experience in business, you know what it's like. Can you kind of give people an idea of what that's going to do?
Well, you're essentially freeing up more operating capital. So if you're a business that is paying less in taxes, that frees up more money to do more things for your business. You can invest in your business. You can make capital improvements. You could hire additional people. You could pay the staff that you already have more. I mean, there's any number of things you can do. And for those naysayers that say, well, this is all just about, corporate breaks for, rich fat cats. Well, not everybody is a rich fat cat that benefits from lower taxes of corporate rates. Those employees that work for those corporations, number one. Number two, shareholders who derive their income from investing in those corporations, they would benefit as well. It's not all about breaks for the rich. For folks that are working people, the folks that provide those jobs, you might want to think about it in those terms. Those folks are in a better position now to expand the business, hire new people where it's indicated, make improvements in the workplace, offer more in salary, incentives, and things like that. So it's a fairly significant break for corporations, and not just the traditional C corps that we hear an awful lot about, but even the passengers are being given a pretty big break here as well, in the way that the S corps and LLCs are being handled as well. So it's really, I think it's got the potential to. We've been over 3% growth here for about the last 3 quarters, and I think this is probably going to position us to exceed 4% growth, and maybe sustained effort going forward. So I'm excited about it, and I think we're going to see a lot of benefit from it.
How competitive are we going to see the U.S. economy become under this proposed tax rate compared to where it was? I mean, is this going to put us back on the world stage where we can compete with countries that are, able to? We're seeing a lot of our corporations go overseas to some of these countries where they pay less in taxes. Maybe will this help that?
Yeah, one of the key drivers of moving offshore for American companies has been things like taxes and regulation. It hasn't. A lot of people say, well, it's just our workforce, it's cost of labor. It's not necessarily about our workforce and cost of labor. It's about our taxes and our regulatory regime. And in many cases, regulations essentially act as taxes. Obviously, where regulations are intended to protect the economy, or protect the environment rather, and those kind of things. Yeah, I get that. But so many times, the kind of regulatory regime we see implemented at the federal level is punitive, and particularly to businesses and small businesses who really can't cash flow that type of regulation. And so you'll see businesses move offshore to escape that type of taxation or regulation. So what we hope to see, obviously with tax reform, and then you've seen a pretty aggressive reform in regulations over the last year, we hope that this all adds up to more economic activity here in the United States, position businesses to grow, and see our economy thrive over the long term.
It's going to be some big changes, and especially, with the tax reform package expected to pass. So I think a lot of us are going to be looking at that and seeing kind of where things go then. As a business owner, personally, I'm excited to see where it goes from here. So kind of tied into that, I know it's gotten a lot of discussion talking about Obamacare and the individual mandate. There's been discussion about are we going to ever be able to revisit that, or maybe is there going to be any changes to that? Are there going to be any changes to that? Do you see that as being something that gets any kind of change or adjustment, or are we kind of stuck with it, so to speak?
Well, I think what we're seeing here in this tax package is the repeal of the individual mandate, which is really kind of at the heart of Obamacare, and that is that they were forcing people to purchase a product. Now, I think that's sort of un-American. I just don't think that that is relying on natural market forces. When the government comes in and says, you will buy health care or we will penalize you, that seems to me to be one of the most onerous and unfair provisions of the Affordable Care Act. And so this tax package repeals that individual mandate. So I think you're going to see some benefits there, but what that also does is ultimately helps to bring down the current health care law and hopefully set the stage for us to do some more market-based reforms that make things considerably more affordable for working families.
You mentioned the naysayers, so just kind of a devil's advocate moment here. There are individuals that would be on the opposing side of philosophical views, and they might look at this and say that you're giving tax breaks to rich donors or business owners that have donated to, Republican causes. I mean, how would you, address those concerns?
Well, look, we've got in this tax package, we've got 7 tax brackets. And the ones who see the least benefit are the ones that are in the highest bracket. And so, the reality is that this argument is a hackneyed argument that's been used for generations by liberals in Washington who favor more taxes and more government spending. But for those of us who favor lower taxes and a smaller government and more responsible spending, we're always going to be attacked for that type of thing. But the reality is that they don't have any substance to this argument at all. It's just a continuation of class warfare. If rich people, which, by the way, for these folks, anybody that makes more money than you is rich.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means everyone else except me should be paying more in taxes. Well, in many cases, that's true. Everyone else is paying more in taxes.
Yeah.
But the social, class envy type of argument is just not going to work. And the reality is that people in high income brackets are already paying considerable amount in taxes. You can go and you can cite all the evidence that you want to the contrary, but it's usually some Democratic think tank in Washington that's putting that information out there. The reality is people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, they don't want this to work. They don't want it to pass because they know it's going to succeed. And when it does, they're going to be standing there with egg on their face, and they'll have to come up with a new attack. So they're already working on new attacks. But the reality is it's going to fall flat, and the American people are going to receive some benefits. We've done the economic analysis for the 1st District of Arkansas, and pretty exhaustive research. And the vast majority will see a significant amount in tax reduction. And, look, we know what the mean income is here in Arkansas, and we know particularly in the 1st District, and we know that this is not a rich district. And so we're not trying to make things tougher on folks here in the 1st District. We're trying to make things a little bit easier and, put a couple $1,000s back in the pockets of these folks that I trust them to spend that money the way they want to more than I trust folks in Washington to spend that money. And so, the fact of the matter is, there are probably going to be some folks in the higher income brackets that might realize a little bit of benefit. But on percentage, the bulk of the benefit goes to working families.
So 1 year ago today, or just looking back a year ago around this time, it was quite a different time in the terms of relations with Cuba. Because I think a year ago around now, we were looking at potentially opening and normalizing relations and doing trade with Cuba and things. I think you maybe had taken some trips down there yourself. It's changed quite a bit now. It seems like there's there's a story, stories in the media about concerns with attacks on diplomats, and it just seems like that has really shifted 180 degrees. Arkansas stood to benefit from that though greatly, and so I'm wondering, are we ever going to get back on the track of maybe having a good relationship with Cuba that could benefit Arkansas, or do you see that as bad hopes?
Now, we're actually, one of the things that President Trump left open was ag trade. He left that open specifically, and there's an opportunity there that we can sell U.S. ag commodities. The Ag Secretary, Perdue, he supports it, and has indicated that support in committee hearings in my committee, as well as in his confirmation hearing. He indicated support for ag trade in Cuba. And that's one of the things that's specifically been left open by the president. And so for us in Arkansas, that represents a pretty big opportunity because one thing that we do very well in Arkansas, and that's grow rice. Another thing that we do very well, and that's raise chickens. And so rice and chicken are staple items in Cuba. We know that just in rice alone, that's about a $37.5 million opportunity for rice producers here in Arkansas. Cuba is a $2 billion market. and I think could even be a bigger market than that as we start to see their economy change, and we see more travel, and we see a demand for higher quality goods. So instead of it being strictly a leg quarter market, then maybe we start to sell better cuts of meat. Maybe we start to send more pork and beef over there as the demand warrants. And so right now it's about a $2 billion market, but I could see it increasing considerably in a very short period of time under the right economic conditions. And I think we're in position to help drive that change and improve the economy in Cuba. And by doing that, we improve the economy here in the United States, particularly in rural America that relies heavily on agriculture sales outside of the United States.
I had a couple of questions from some readers that had posted questions. You mind taking a few of those?
Sure.
Okay. One of the questions from Shannon May. Shannon asks, actually several people asked this, but do you support CHIP?
Yeah, in fact, we've reauthorized that, and I believe it's a 5-year reauthorization.
Okay. Good deal. So another person asked what your opinion on the individual mandate is. We kind of went over that, so we'll kind of mark that one off. Let's see. Here's a question from Heather Cobb. Okay, this one's kind of topical, a lot of stuff in the news. I'd be interested in knowing if you think an elected official should resign if they're accused of sexual misconduct or found guilty regardless of party affiliation.
There's two key components to that question. One is accused and the other is found guilty. So being accused of sexual misconduct in and of itself does not necessarily indicate that a person ought to resign. Mm-hmm. If they're found guilty of sexual misconduct, then by all means, and I don't care what political affiliation you have, violation of the public trust is a violation of the public trust. And so, yeah, in a case like that where, the evidence is clear that you've been inappropriate, then yeah, I think you should resign.
Here's a question. Now, I know this one, and I'm going to mention the name of the person asking it because I know he's been heavily involved in the group NEA Indivisible. In fact, I think he's trying to set up a few town halls in the area as well. Ethan Drew Williams. And I say that because I've seen his name in the newspaper a few times. So, preface that with that. He asked about you holding town halls in Northeast Arkansas, and specifically, do you plan to? Would you see yourself doing it? Where are you on that?
Well, every day we have a town hall on our Facebook page. If you look at, and I've told him this himself, personally to him, I've offered him meetings. Mm-hmm. He has specifically said that's not good enough. He doesn't want to have a personal meeting with me. And, if that's an opportunity that anybody that wants to come up and set up a meeting in my office, I'm happy to do that. He's been given that opportunity. He has specifically declined. He did come to a campaign event of mine, he and 3 of his friends, and we fed him dinner, treated them like neighbors, and just like we did everybody there, and yet that wasn't good enough. And so, it's kind of like if you come to someone's house uninvited and then complain about the food, how are we supposed to react and respond to that? And the reality is that I'm very much an open book, and our office is very transparent. And what we've done, really to facilitate dialogue in a more meaningful way, is to change the way we operate on Facebook and social media, and to be more responsive, and to solicit feedback, not just put stuff out there and ignore it, but we actually solicit feedback and give folks an opportunity to be heard. And if you can pull up some of the threads on Facebook and see, and even the folks that don't like me will acknowledge, I don't agree with you, but at least you're responsive. And so there's a whole lot of things to consider with a town hall. One is I have 30 counties. Mm. So I did a town hall earlier in the year in Heber Springs. They didn't like it because it was on a Saturday, and it was in the morning, and it was in Heber Springs. And so what you have is this group wants to dictate all of the conditions for a town hall. And I'm not going to do that. That's like if the RNC said we want Bernie Sanders to come in and do a town hall, and we want him to do it this way, and we want him to do it here at this location, and we want him to do it on our conditions and under our terms, do you think Bernie Sanders would show up to the RNC town hall? No. This is a political group that has an agenda, and the agenda is not about trying to foster feedback and open dialogue in a meaningful way. It's basically an organization that's out to malign me in every way that they can. And why would I respond favorably to an invitation? However, I did give them the opportunity to come to my office and sit down and talk to me person to person, and that's not what they want. The reason they don't want that is because they want to do a public maligning. They want to scream and holler at me and make false accusations and things like that. And how does that serve anyone else? That serves their agenda. But if there's somebody who honestly wanted to come in here and ask questions, they're not going to be served in an environment like that, because you're going to have this group that's going to try and take charge of the event. I mean, heck, they came to one of my campaign events and tried to take charge. And instead what we did was we fed them, entertained them, and stood there and talked to them for 20 minutes and treated them like neighbors. And that still wasn't good enough for them. So what else can you do when you just can't take yes for an answer?
Last question I got for you, because I know we're running out of time. Net neutrality, do you have an opinion on that? Do you have a stance on that?
Yeah, the term has been co-opted. When the Obama administration decided to change long-standing policy with regard to communications, they used this term net neutrality, and they sort of redefined what it meant. But ultimately, what their goal was to create more opportunity for the federal government to regulate a communications tool. And how they did that was they brought it under the regulation of a public utility. And they did this under the auspices of helping people and trying to say, well, what we're going to try and do is we're going to make the internet open and fair and all this. Well, it was open and fair. The internet is a naturally occurring market phenomenon, and it's got regulations that it's subject to under the FCC and under the FTC, but it didn't need to be regulated as a utility. Utilities operate under a charter that essentially allows them to be a legal monopoly. That is to say, if you live in a city somewhere, you've only got one provider. Mm-hmm. And, you're subject to that one provider. Now, in most cases, and this is the case, I live in Jonesboro, City Water and Light, great organization to do business with. The fact of the matter is, we've only got one utility.
Right.
Well, why would you want to limit your choices and your options as a consumer if you didn't have to? And they're trying to make it out to be an issue where what we're trying to do is to limit the choice and limit the options. That's absolutely wrong, number one. Number two, this isn't a law, it's a rule. The FCC made this rule under the Obama administration, and the Trump administration rolled it back. And it's to restore the natural market dynamics as a communications provider, not as a utility, because they're two totally different things. And so if you're concerned about free speech, then you should probably be supportive of this Trump administration FCC rule change, because now you're taking the control of the internet away from essentially the federal government and allowing providers to engage in competitive dynamic, which ultimately the consumer wins. The more people we have in a competitive marketplace, the more options the consumer has.
Congressman Rick Crawford on his way back to Washington. We wish you safe travels, sir, and thank you for agreeing to join us today, okay?
All right, thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right, everybody, let's take one final look at that New Wave Wireless weather forecast before we depart you this evening. And it's not up. Here's what it looks like, courtesy of the home of the $49 iPhone screen repair. Cloudy skies tonight. We're watching those temperatures drop down to 46, up to 61 tomorrow, as we're going to see some rainfall rolling in. It's going to last through Wednesday. It's going to move out partially for Thursday, but then Friday, more rainfall is back. And get this, there is a possibility, there is a potential for seeing a little bit of snowfall late Sunday night into Monday, into your Christmas day. It's not in every model right now. We're actually going through a number of models of the forecast, and we've seen a few of them show rain. A few of them are showing some snow. But nonetheless, as we roll through Sunday night into Monday, we are looking at the very slim possibility for some snowfall. And we're going to be watching that as we get closer to those days in that forecast. So we'll let you know, but at least by the time this weekend rolls around. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to NEA Report. Glad to have you in with us today. Back tomorrow at 4 with more news from Northeast Arkansas.